I'm here today at the National Museum of the USAF, and I'm joined by Colonel and Brother Tom Moe, United States Air Force retired. We're here to talk about the 3 F's: his time as a fighter pilot, his faith, and his journey as a Freemason. Brother Tom, such a pleasure.
Good to see you today.
You as well. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
That's right. Yeah.
Have a seat and we'll get right into it.
Great.
So you were, I think you called it a pipeline assignment, right? So you finish pilot training, immediately go off to combat. Okay.
The war was raging in Vietnam, and this is part of the decision process as well. So while I was in college, the war was starting up, and so there was another decision: am I going to join the military, and with the potential to go off the war? And I also decided that if I joined the military, I was not going to shirk that duty because that's part of the service. So I went through pilot training. It was a lot of fun. Some of the best months of my life was pilot training. And then I got an F-4 assignment and was pipelined to Vietnam.
Okay. And at this point, you have your first child, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Connie was born in May of that year while I was in F-4 school in Arizona. And so when I left to go to war, she was 3 months old.
So you have an ordnance that you have on, there was an issue, correct, with some of the ordnance you were dropping. There were fuse issues.
So we started losing flights on these missions, and we lost flights for other reasons as well. But we were suspecting the fuse because these losses were occurring at the moment guys were releasing their bombs. And then in January, they came back and they said, we've evaluated that design. It can't happen. Whatever is happening, it's not the fuse. Well, we didn't believe them, but they had done what we asked. Lucky me, lucky the other 3 guys. So us 4 pilots were chosen by random to go on the first mission with the fuse again. And so with no faith at all in the fuse, we decided to brief a survival tactic. And so that's what we did, and this is what saved our lives. So we flew high, we spread out, not nearly enough as it turned out, and when it came time to drop the bombs, we did a pull.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching my wingman as I'm pulling, and boom, just a fireball. And for a moment I figured, well, he's dead. And the nose of the airplane came out of the fireball, and then these 2 guys ejected as the airplane just tumbled out of control. So I used a few things we learned in fighter school. I was able to get the airplane erect again, and out I went, and out he went.
Down you went. So this is mission number 85.
It's my 85th mission. And my emotion was one of absolute anger. I was mad. It happened again. And as I could tell, the four of us had survived. And so I landed in a tree, 30, 40, 50 feet up in the air, let myself down with a little device we have to do that, and then hit the ground running. So I scooted off to where I thought I might be, able to hide, and burrowed under a log. And for the first time since I had ejected, I was able to turn on my radio, and this time to try to listen, see what was going on.
Right, so at this point you think there's a chance of a rescue?
There should be.
Right.
So I just sat there under this log all day long. My survival kit was stuck in the tree. I had no water, no food, but I was mostly just, on the alert. How could I get out of here? So dawn came the 3rd day, and no clouds, no fog, sunny weather, and almost immediately the air was filled with airplanes. But I could hear troops coming through the brush again. And very methodically this time, just crunch, crunch, crunch. And finally, they literally had surrounded the log I was on, but they didn't know I was there. But they had gone by both ends of the log. It was a big, huge log. And just as they were about to take the next step, one of the rescue planes flew overhead again, and they stopped, and they looked up, and then they looked down, and they could see through my camouflage. There I was.
No kidding.
That was it, folks. And then I was driven to the what we called the Hanoi Hilton.
So what were your first thoughts going there? Did you know it had a reputation, I assume? You knew where you were at that point.
I did.
Okay.
We had some pretty good information in our squadron about the prison camps. We knew where they were, because if we ever bombed in the area, we didn't want to bomb them. So we had good information about the camps, and then some feedback. No one had been released yet or escaped. For quite a few weeks, there was no rough stuff. But, you're exposed to the elements, you can't sleep, you're freezing at night. And so that's to wear you down physically and mentally. And then one day the interrogator said, once again, he said, well, we want to release you early as a sign of our humane policy. And I said, well, I don't care what you call it. I'm not leaving before, anybody else that was before me. And so he said, well, you can't stop us. We'll just put you on an airplane and send you out of the country. So I thought, well, I can't allow that. And so I started starving myself. I stopped eating.
Because the optics of an emaciated prisoner.
Yeah. I was either going to die there, or I would look so bad they wouldn't want to release me. And I really was becoming emaciated. And I'd stand up and I'd black out. I'd have to sit down. And I thought, well, it's not painful, And within a few weeks, they almost tortured me to death. It was like, okay, we're going to make up for lost time. And so that really got rough. I found that I could deal with pain by leaving my body. And I could look down on myself. And I didn't feel any pain, and I could see myself being tortured in this room. And then as I did that, I thought, this is a little scary, because I may not be able to come back.
I want to go to almost homecoming. It's March 12th, March 13th of 1973.
Things had gotten better and better and better in our condition. I mean, we're locked up and everything, but we're prisoners. And we told each other, we said, you know what? We're united, we're one group. There were only 30 of us or so at the camp, so we couldn't all go home. So as it turns out, we're all going to go home together after all. And I went out in the courtyard one day to wash or something, and a C-141 flew overhead. And I looked at my buddy and I said, that is a good sign.
Because it wasn't being shot at.
It wasn't being shot at.
Okay.
And a day or two later, we were released.
You're a man of faith. I get that. We got that immediately in our first meeting. How did that evolve over the course of 1,881 days? Is that correct?
5 years and 3 months.
What happened to your faith while you're in this captivity and surviving this absolute brutality?
You really, I think in any situation it's really tough, emotional, painful, death, injury, whatever. I can imagine anybody goes through a lot of introspection. What does my faith mean? How is it going to strengthen me, and so forth? When I pray, what do I pray for? And what did I pray for? Which may be one of the most important things in my experience on these tough times, was I prayed for strength. And I think people that have trouble with their faith believe that God is like a jolly green giant. And if he's really a God, he's going to pluck you out of the jungle and save you because you're so important. And I think we're all important in God's eyes. But that doesn't mean that it's like Jesus on the cliff when the devil's tempting him, throw yourself off the cliff and God will save you. And no, it doesn't work that way. So when I pray for strength, because I didn't know if I'd come home. I hoped I would come home. I prayed that I'd see my parents and my wife and daughter again. But I prayed for strength, because whatever happened, it's the way it was going to be.
Because faith got you through so much, when you hear the core value of reverence for God, what does that evoke?
I remember God 50 times a day with little thank yous, especially when I'm mad about something. If something doesn't go right, I'll say, thank you, Jesus. or thank you in my mind, because it brings you back. This is a petty thing. The door's stuck. I couldn't get it open. Or somebody makes me mad. I first say, thank you, Jesus, because it brings you back to what I believe in. I won't let some petty annoyance, it's raining and I didn't watch the rain today. So instead of being angry about it, I say, thank you, Jesus, because, you're important to me. My faith is important to me.
So how did Freemasonry complement your faith?
It's a shared culture, is maybe the way I'd put it best. Our goals, the things that guide us. It's really become part of my life, and I'm happy about it. And I like what I see. I like that Masons practice what they preach. It's a guiding light for all of us.